Hi everybody, it's Kristin. So, how's everybody doing in week, 10,000 of this lockdown at this point? It sure seems like it. Summer is finally apparently here. It's going to be over 100 today. The kitten has worn herself out for the morning and is currently having a bath. Thank goodness. They've been really bouncy since I've been home, so it's been kind of fun. Anyway, today's book is on the subject of books, because this is me. The Library Book by Susan Orlean. This is a book about a fire that took place in the Los Angeles Public Library that destroyed, I think it was upwards of about 400,000 items. Yes, if you're like me and you love books, that just makes you cringe. The fire it was never determined whether or not the fire was an act of arson. There were a lot of people who thought it was, but it couldn't be proven. So the book is about not only the fire, but kind of in a broader sense about what libraries mean to our culture and our society. So the part I'm going to read is from the first chapter, and it's a description of the fire as it broke out. A few minutes before 11 a.m. on April 29th, a smoke detector in the library set off an alarm. The library telephone operator called the fire department dispatcher, saying, "Bells ringing at Central Library." Security guards spread out through the building, instructing patrons to leave. No one was particularly panicked. The library's fire alarm went off all the time, for all sorts of reasons. A cigarette tossed in a wastebasket, the occasional crackpot bomb threat, and most often for no reason at all, except that it was an old crotchety alarm system prone to spasms of hyperactivity. For the staff and regular patrons, the fire alarm had come to possess all the shock value of a clown horn. Packing up and leaving the building was so tiresome that some librarians were tempted to hide out in their workrooms and wait for the all clear. Most of them left their personal belongings behind when they went out for the alarms, assuming they'd be right back. Patrons and staff headed out of the building with a minimum of jostling and rushing. The only person to report a disturbance was an elderly woman who told investigators that a young man with blonde hair and a wisp of a mustache had bumped into her as he hurried by. She said he seemed agitated, but he stopped to help her get back on her feet before he dashed out the door. At first, the smoke in the fiction stacks was as pale as onion skin. Then it deepened to dove gray. Then it turned black. It wound around fiction A through L, curling in lazy ringlets. It gathered into soft puffs that bobbed and banked against the shelves like bumpers. Suddenly, sharp fingers of flame shot through the smoke and jabbed upward. More flames erupted. The heat built. The temperature reached 451 degrees, and the books began smoldering. Their covers burst like popcorn. Pages flared and blackened and then sprang away from their bindings, a ream of sooty scraps soaring on the updraft. The fire flashed through fiction, consuming as it traveled. It reached for the cookbooks. The cookbooks burned up. The fire scrambled to the 6th tier, and then to the 7th. Every book in its path bloomed with flame. At the 7th tier, the fire banged into the concrete ceiling, doubled back, and mushroomed down again to the 6th tier. It poked around looking for more air and fuel. Paper and book jackets and microfilm and magazines crumpled and vanished. On the 6th tier, flames crowded against the stack's walls, then decided to move laterally. The fire burned through 6th tier shelves and then nosed around until it found the catwalk that connected the northeast stacks to the northwest stacks. It erupted into the catwalk and hurried along until it reached the patent collection stored in the northwest stacks. It gripped the blocky patent gazettes. They were so thick that they resisted, but the heat gathered until at last they smoked, flared, crackled, and dematerialized. Wind gusts filled the vacuum made by the fire. Hot air saturated the walls. The floor began to fracture. A spiderweb of hot cracks appeared. Ceiling beams spalled, sending chips of concrete shooting in every direction. The temperature reached 900 degrees, and the stack's steel shelves brightened from gray to white as if illuminated from within. Soon, glistening and nearly molten, they glowed cherry red. Then they twisted and slumped, pitching their books into the fire. ow, that hurts me to read that. I don't like hearing about books being burned up. And that's probably the most painful part of the book, is just realizing how much was lost during that fire. But there's also a pretty rejuvenating story of the library coming back to life and people donating more books and helping to clean everything, and the library was brought back even better than before. And like I said, there's a lot in this book about the function of libraries, and I think that's really especially important in today's society. I've seen it said online that libraries are one of the few public spaces that you are allowed to exist without the expectation of spending money. People can access help with jobs and with research, and children can learn things and attend story times. There's so much that our libraries can do for us. So, libraries are closed now during the pandemic. Hopefully they'll reopen soon, along with everything else. But in the meantime, if you would like to pick up this book and learn more about libraries, and if you'd like to support your Aggies while doing so, please consider buying the book from the campus bookstore. There will be a link in the comments. You can also call the store and ask about it. We have limited pickup hours. You can find the hours for that on our website. So for the moment, that's all from me. Everybody please stay safe. Please wash your hands thoroughly. Wear a mask if you're out. Yolo County is still having that lockdown order with the masks. And I will see you all next time. Bye.